Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Wednesdays is usually the day I like to do a live, kind of hump day live, middle of the week, inspiring myself and hopefully giving you some tips and tricks and inspiring you to get through the rest of the week. So for today, I want to talk about handling setbacks. First thing I want to say about that is no, you're not a failure. It's often the first thought many of us go to when we encounter a major setback, so we have a vision or a path in life that we want to take, and you trundling along nicely, and suddenly you hit a setback. And one of the first things many of us do, I know I sometimes do that as well, is go down that road, that path of thinking that I am a failure or that I failed. So for me, one of the most significant setbacks I've encountered in my life was some 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, with the breakup of a long-term relationship. We had reached almost 10 years in the relationship. It imploded. I was 4 months pregnant at the time and pretty much lost everything. Lost the house, was about to reduce my income because I was going to go on maternity leave in a few months. And I had a baby growing in my belly. It is the time in my life when I felt like the biggest failure, like I had failed at everything I knew. It's kind of like if you look at that Harvard commencement speech of J.K. Rowling in, I think it was 2008, she did that. She said that she felt like she was the biggest failure that she knew. And I kind of felt very similar about, 23, 24 years ago. So, there was panic and anxiety and fear and overwhelm. And what happened with that major setback was it stopped me in my tracks and made me feel like I had failed and like I wasn't going to ever accomplish anything good ever again in my life. It was a really dark time. But here's some of the ways that I handled that setback. And I have to say, I didn't handle it fantastically immediately. It took a little moment. But here are some of the things that I did to get through that setback and that I've actually used ever since. And I call it my 3A's. My 3A's. It's a 3A's strategy for handling setbacks. And the first one was acknowledging the truth. So I had to get real with myself. And that meant cry many tears, be in my state of disbelief, be in my state of how could I let this happen? How did this happen to me? I'm supposed to be a reasonably smart and intelligent woman. And how did I end up in this mess? So that was the first thing. And there were lots of tears. And I say to people, when I work with them, I say, if you have encountered a setback, it's okay to be in a state of disbelief. It's okay to have all the tears that you're going to have. It's even okay to throw a tantrum, although I will add a caveat, as long as you don't hurt anyone while you're throwing the tantrum. But be honest about your feelings. Acknowledge the truth of what's going on, whatever that setback is. Because being in denial, all it does is suppress emotions and makes the setback and all of the feelings associated with that setback drag on so much longer than it needs to. So acceptance, I've found personally, it comes quicker with honesty, raw and real honesty, acknowledging what's happening, being upset about what's happening, crying, going through all the fears, all the panic, whatever feelings it is that you're having around that setback, it's okay. So acknowledging the truth of it. The second A that I've used is trying to move from acceptance. And as I said, from acknowledgement, when you're honest, you go into that acceptance mode fairly quickly. So the first thing to understand about your setback is that it won't last. Setbacks never do. Nothing, in fact, in life lasts permanently. We go through hills and valleys, we go through failures and triumphs. Nothing is permanent. Nothing lasts forever. And so a setback is also going to have a shelf life. It's not going to last forever. You will come through it. Change is guaranteed in life, right? We know that. And sometimes a setback is merely a wonderful change in disguise. So that's the second part of my 3A strategy. Acknowledge the truth, acknowledgement of the truth of the situation, and acceptance of the situation. And then from there, you move into what I call the third A, which is action. Action. And this is where you start defining what small steps can you take? What small steps can you take to handle the setback or to overcome it? So I think one of the most important steps that any of us can take is to get help. It's really important. I found that the longer I sit in a setback on my own without consulting anybody or sharing it with someone or seeking guidance or seeking help, the harder it is and the more overwhelmed I feel. And so going to people, to family, friends, colleagues helps. In my case, 20-something years ago, I even sought help from the bank manager because, the house sold at a loss. My ex-partner declared bankruptcy. I was left with the financial debt, and I didn't know how I was going to actually start paying it back when I was about to go on maternity leave, pregnant with my daughter. So I went. The bank manager was one of the people I went to and asked for help and guidance and actually got it. Identifying the little things that you can control. That's another great action step to take. There's some things that you can control. Number one thing that you can control is your self-care, taking care of yourself. When you're going through setback and overwhelm, one of the big things you need to manage is taking care of yourself. And that could be going for a walk in nature. That could be taking some time out. That could be having a rest. That could be going for a massage. Or that could be going around to a friend's place and simply sitting and having a cuppa and having a conversation and talking things through. But self-care is really important, and it's an action step that you can control. Getting payment plans. In my case, with the bank manager, I sat down with the bank manager and we got a payment plan together for me to be able to start paying down that debt. And she worked out one that was manageable for me. The other thing that you can take control of is your mindset. And there's a plethora of resources out there, so many motivational audios on YouTube, so many books out there. So those are easy resources to access to help take control of your mindset. Breathing, that's one of the most powerful tools we have and so underutilized. So I was taught a breathing technique some years ago where you take in breath for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, and you exhale for 6 counts. And it's interesting doing the cycle of breathing, like really doing conscious breathing. What I learned is that it's difficult to be in a state of anxiety when you're doing rounds of focused and controlled breathing, deep breathing. So even if you only do it for 3 minutes or 5 minutes at a time, that's something that you can do, that you can easily take control of, doing your rounds of breathing to calm your body and mind. And then the other great action thing is move on as quickly as you can. Don't over-crucify yourself about what went wrong. It's not helpful for our emotional, mental, or physical well-being. The best way to regain momentum and to move on and to move forward is to start a new project. Do something that makes you feel good. So for me, when I was going through that really hard time, when I was 4 months pregnant, I started preparing for the birth of my daughter, getting little things like her clothes ready, the nursery ready, all of those kinds of things, doing little things and going to get myself, getting prenatal massages, doing prenatal classes, tiny little steps to make myself feel better and to occupy my mind. So new little projects. I also did a lot of writing. Writing has always been a source of comfort and counsel for me. So I did a lot of writing during that time. And then the other great thing that worked for me was taking walks out in nature. There was a lot of thinking I needed to do during that difficult time. And so I would often go out and walk along the beach or go for little walks in little mini forests just to calm myself, to be present in nature. Those little things help. So in conclusion, setbacks, they are part of life, guaranteed. Like change is guaranteed in life, like taxes are guaranteed in life. Setbacks are also guaranteed in life. And if you use my 3 A's of acknowledgement, acceptance, and then getting into action in various ways, every time you hit setbacks, it's great steps forward, and it's been wonderful for me personally in handling my own setbacks, but also in helping, many of the people I work with in handling some of their setbacks. Acknowledge the truth, accept the situation, and get into action about the little things that you can take control of. Those are my tips for today. I hope you're having a wonderful day as always. Bye for now.